Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for having us here at Farnsley. And I got to say, I'm impressed every time I come here, but my escort team here really did a nice job. Let's hear it for the escort team here. They represented you all well, so you should know that, and they're very serious and studious. So, really happy to be here. We're being hosted in Councilwoman Green's district here, so thank you very much for doing that for us here. We appreciate that. And we also have Councilwoman Angela Leet with us as well, who hails more over from the Brownsboro Road, River Road area, but thank you. Ballard High School in the house. Okay, here for the Bruins. Okay. Well, I kind of live over by Assumption High School, so we've got everybody covered here then, right? Well, it's great to be with everybody. We've been making all kind of great announcements in the past couple weeks about progress in the city from our environmental and sustainability standpoint. And today is just another one of those wonderful announcements. But what it really adds is bringing more of our young leaders into the announcement so people can see what's going on for all parts of our city here today. Before I talk about sustainability, I guess this is kind of part of it, but I wanted to thank each and every one of the schools, Assumption, Ballard, and Farnsley here, for the work that y'all did during our Give a Day week of service last week. We had about 175,000 volunteers, acts of compassion last week, people just helping each other throughout the city. So big thanks to all the schools for stepping up once again and showing everybody why we're such a great city to live in. So thanks, everybody, for your good work on that. So people say, oh, gosh, is he going to talk about compassion again? Yeah, well, really, I mean, it's what we do every day, right? And we talk about health as a city value, physical health, mental health. What other type of health do you think there is? Emotional health. Another one I'm looking for, it begins with the E. Environmental health. That's right. We've got to have environmental health in order for us to have a stable environment to live in. So we've been doing quite a few things to showcase that and clarify to everybody the direction that the city is going in this regard. So in the past couple weeks, you've seen us signing the Compact of Mayors on Earth Day last week. That's an environmental accord about cities working together to improve their environment. You've also saw us just a couple days ago introduce the Urban Heat Island Study, which shows how different parts of the city are hotter than others. Some parts of the city are 10 degrees hotter than others. And when we're in the middle of July and August, you can feel it, and it's very costly, both on your personal health, but also on your pocketbook as well. And then we introduced a 20-year transportation plan for the city about 3 weeks ago that talks about how can we use more public transportation, how can we reduce vehicle miles traveled when that's possible, so that we can have less exhaust going into the air, so we have higher air quality and higher quality of life as well. So you guys are ahead of the curve here when you participated with Brightside and the partnership for the Green Cities Youth Summit back in December, when we were asking our school systems to give us some ideas on leadership in the environment. And so Partnership for Green City is another sustainability effort that I'm really proud of here in our city. Got Brent and Mike over here amongst others, because this was really probably our original big collective effort for the city, wasn't it? When 2004, so these guys were doing this kind of work 12 years before a lot of other people started. So partnership between JCPS, U of L, JCTC, the city of Louisville, to see how can we collect all of our resources and be more environmentally responsible. Now, at the Youth Summit, what you guys focused on, I saw some of your cool T-shirts here, by the way. Also, you learned about the heat island phenomenon and came up with some really thoughtful and creative ideas to way to attack it. And as we all know, oftentimes to solve a problem, first we got to understand the problem, and that's what we did during the Youth Summit. So today we're here to celebrate the students that have worked hard at the summit, and I'm proud to announce also that some folks have stepped up and wanted to reward the good work that you all have done. So the Knollenberg Foundation will be distributing a total of $10,000 in grant money to Ballard High School, Assumption High School, and Farnsley Middle School to implement the strategies that you all came up with when you were combating this urban heat island effect. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that in a second. Ballard is going to receive $5,000 to paint a portion of the school's roof white, and then to monitor the temperature in the classrooms to see how the white roofs affect heat absorption in the classrooms where students learn. So do you guys think, is it cool? Are you going to be cooler when you're outside in the summer if you have a black clothes on or white clothes on? White. So do you think it's cooler to have a white roof or a black roof? Yeah. How come it's taking this adult so long to figure this out? I mean, it seems kind of basic, doesn't it? Well, what's neat about the Ballard project is they're actually measuring that, and they're going to be doing that in their classroom, so great job to them. Now, the couple of students from Ballard High School that can't be here today, I want to give a special shout out to them. Tanya and Natasha Gupta are actually in Houston, Texas, as we speak, presenting Ballard's Youth Summit project at the International Sustainable World Energy Engineering Environment Project Olympiad. That sounds pretty impressive, isn't it? So great job to Tanya and Natasha and Councilwoman. They might be future engineers like you are. Need some more girl power in engineering. And the Councilwoman back here, you're not an engineer, but you're a lawyer, right? Right, so we got some strong ladies here. Here are the Gupta sisters right here when we talk about girl power. So that's pretty cool. So then Assumption High School. Assumption was represented by Reagan Davis when we talked about the urban heat island on Monday at Metro Hall. You all have been really proud of Reagan, and Reagan is here. I think she's going to speak later today. Is that right? And she did a tremendous job talking about urban heat island, but representing all the youth of our city as well with a really strong voice. So Assumption's $3,000 is going to be for a green wall demonstration project and tree planting. So you're going to hear a little bit more about that in a second, but it's another practical way for us to learn more about reducing the effects of the urban heat island. And Farnsley Middle School. Does anybody know anybody at Farnsley? I mean, let's hear it for Farnsley. Come on. I can tell we got a group of scholars here. You all are going to receive $2,000 to plant about 35 native trees, so trees that are indigenous to Kentucky. I want to thank our principal. Where's the principal? Linda. Thank you. I was keeping a low profile. Why are you back there? Why don't you come on up here? You're the one that runs the joint. Come on. She's a background person, I can see, but thank you for hosting us here at Farnsley today. Nice work. And then also a few other folks to thank. Gina O'Brien. Gina's over here and her team at Brightside. Brent Frarier, I mentioned Brent earlier with the Partnership for a Green City. They're the ones that organized the Youth Summit. And then a special congratulations to the whole Brightside operation. We've got some of our board members here with us, so thanks to you guys very much as well. So Brightside's job is not just to keep the city clean, but we want to be clean and green and make a difference in the quality of our city's citizens' life through a good, clean environment. And then Brightside just celebrated its 30th birthday, so happy birthday to Brightside. Good job on that. All right. So you want to clap for Brightside? Let's hear from them. 30, why not? Why not? Why not? So with that, and to learn a little bit more about the schools, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Michael Razor. Mike is JCPS's Director of Operations, and he's going to talk about what this grant money is going to mean for our schools. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. It is so great to be here. It's great to be in a school. It's great to see kids that are representing and setting examples of what good environmental stewards look like. I mean, I've probably told the story before. The only reason we recycle, it's not the only reason, the main reason we recycle in our house is because when my son came home from kindergarten and we were throwing aluminum cans in the trash and paper in the trash, we can't do that at school. And he set the example for us, and that's what all of you are doing. You're setting the example for the adults, and we're working on this all together. We're honored at JCPS to also try to set a great example in energy conservation and in green initiatives. We were just so pleased last week to be the inaugural awardee of the Partner of the Year for the Louisville Energy Alliance. with our efforts at becoming more green and having 34, is it, Mike? Energy Star buildings, which mean they're in the top 75% of energy efficient buildings in the nation. So within JCPS, and we're striving to make that more every year. So this is something that is really important to us on two fronts. One, the less amount of money we spend on garbage and electricity is the more money we can spend in your schools. And two, it's just the right thing to do. So I am not a big prepared remarks person, but I want to make sure I get this absolutely correct today because I want to honor exactly everybody for exactly what you've done. So I'll try not to make this seem like I'm reading, but if I am, I'll try to exhibit all those things we taught you to do when you read a speech. So on behalf of Dr. Donna Hargens, our superintendent, and our Board of Education, Brightside, and the Partnership for a Green City, we want to thank the Ralph Knollenberg III Foundation, Director Larry Raymond, for providing the grant funding for these student urban heat island mitigation projects. The foundation mission in part states, we believe that helping children to develop positive or perspective and sensitivity to their place in the natural world inspires them to be good stewards of the earth. That is also the focus of our partnership, Brightside Youth Summit, each year. Educating local youth about relevant issues so they may take a leadership role as they seek to make a problem an opportunity. We appreciate the Foundation's enthusiasm for our work and hope to continue in the future. Isabella Christensen represents the Foundation today, and she'll make some comments later. The reason we're here today, though, is because of students. Having hands-on projects and activities that support their coursework is important, but competing for grant funding in middle and high school is very unusual. We commend these students and their teachers for taking time to thoughtfully consider what each student in school could do to decrease the urban heat island effect on their campuses. From the 170 students from 16 schools that attended the Youth Summit, here are the students and schools that received grant funding for their projects. As the mayor said, the first place $5,000 award goes to Ballard High School for a project that determines the best material to mitigate the urban heat island effect through a study of emittance, solar reflection, and night sky radiation on various cool roof coatings. Next, they will have the best coating applied to part of the roof on the south building of Ballard High School and measure the temperature effect in the rooms and on the roof of the second floor using thermocouplers and data loggers. Sounds impressive. They will collect data from the rooms and roof to compare the readings from spring 2016 to spring 2017, expecting to show a temperature reduction in the rooms with the cool roof coatings and heating and cooling costs. You're right, Mayor. Why didn't we think of that sooner? Here, to receive the ceremonial check, is teacher Rhonda Fields with students Andrew Siegel and Mark Johanneman, who must have drawn the short straw because you're here and they're in Houston.
Yeah, that's how it worked.
Really?
They got accepted. These guys are going to be the data logger retrievers.
Awesome.
Someone's going to share these, right? Oh, good. My photographer's in the picture. Okay. Look at me. Thank you. All right.
The second place $3,000 award goes to Assumption High School for a project that greens the campus by planting deciduous trees along the parking lots and driveways and by growing climbing plants on trellises in front of brick walls, creating a green wall. Not only will the trees and vegetated wall provide shade, an obvious decrease in solar radiation, and through evapotranspiration, the plants will help lower the campus temperature. Once again, that was through evapotranspiration. I'll take their word for it. Using Landsat technology, the Emissivity of the diverse building materials of the campus will be determined to set a baseline of heat storage capacity before the project begins. The effectiveness of their project will be monitored using data from the MET station to monitor temperature, humidity, and wind speed. Assumption Principal Martha Tedesco, representing the Archdiocese, helps us in presenting the ceremonial check to teacher Sally Craven and their Assumption students Sophie Bevan, Madison Browning, Mackenzie Browning, Sarah Crawford, Reagan Davis, Rebecca James, Kay Nihilist, Molly O'Day, Jillian Sauer, Abby Spalding, Angela Tran, and Charlotte Yang.
Good job on the vocabulary.
And finally, but not least, third place $2,000 award goes to our host today, Farnsley Middle School. We want to thank Principal Linda Hudson, teacher Michelle Buchanan, and her students for their hospitality. After attending the youth summit, Miss Buchanan's sixth graders decided to find a way to plant trees in strategic points of campus to reduce the heat coming from the pavement and reduce the heat in the building by providing shade. The trees will be native Kentucky varieties, and the class has reached out to Aaron Thompson, the city's urban forester, for selection and placement. Temperature differences will be measured in the shade areas compared to the meteorological stations. I think that's called evapotranspiration. The project aligns with the Louisville Metro's urban tree canopy assessment as a high to very high priority for planting trees, and the students have their hearts set on creating a happier, more enjoyable environment through nature, which will attract new students to Farnsley as a destination middle school. The ceremonial check is presented to teacher Michelle Buchanan, students Seth Asher, Noah Davis, Connor Fugate, Aniket Patel, Olivia Patterson, Elijah Exley, Danny Tran, Yusuf Corsa, Abigail Montgomery, and Caleb Crowder, along with Principal Hudson. Yusuf Corsa. Once again, let's just have a round of applause for all three. As I said when I started, I appreciate and we appreciate what you're doing, the example you're setting for your classmates, the example you're setting all over Jefferson County, and the example you're setting for us adults throughout the Louisville metro area. It's these type of things, really simple things like planting trees and painting roofs a color that won't get as hot, that can make huge, huge differences. And you're all showing that you can make a difference. And that's really, really important to realize and to always strive to do. Before I leave, I just need to give a few words of thanks, and then I will pitch this back to the mayor. Our judges who reviewed and Our judges who reviewed and judged the proposals: Julie Shinton Fried from Brightside, Brian Thompson from Blackacre, esteemed environmental educator Darlene Horton, and Isabella Christensen from the Knollenberg Foundation. University of Louisville researcher Dave Howarth, who provided the meteorological stations at the participating schools, John DeMarsh from JCPS, and Brightside for installing the Met Station poles. Russ Barnett and Al Dittmer, who have worked with Dr. Howarth to install the Met Stations. Once again, thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to you. And Mayor, it's all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Razor. So everybody can see a lot of people required to make all this happen, so big thanks to everybody. Now, for the second time this week, I'm sharing the podium with Reagan Davis. I talked to you about her earlier. She's representing the Archdiocese schools. We have about 100,000 students in JCPS in Louisville and about 30,000 students in our parochial and private schools. So that's a big part of our city as well. So, Reagan, you're representing 30,000 people. Come on up here.
Thank you all again for having us here. Being here at a middle school kind of makes me remember at least a little bit what my middle school experience was like. I unfortunately didn't get to go to Farnsley, but I did go to a place that was kind of similar. And while I was there, I had a problem that I'm sure a lot of you guys can kind of relate to, not just the middle schoolers, but also the high schoolers, that when I had a big project, I would always get really intimidated by the amount of work. And I would put it off and watch some Netflix, and by the time that it was the day before it was due, that's when I finally got started. Luckily, since I've been at Assumption, the teachers have taught me how to not do that. But I kind of feel like that's the same feeling that we get when we talk about climate change, when we talk about these issues of global warming. We can't conquer all climate change all at once. So we have to break it down to pieces, just like it's a big project that we have to do. You don't take it on all at once, but you do it a little bit at a time. And if we all do a little bit, then in the end, we end up with a really good project instead of something we did the night before. So if we can't do all climate change all at once, why don't we focus on what can be fixed? Issues like the urban heat island. And maybe we can't focus on the whole world or the whole country or the whole state or even the whole city. But if we each focus on our schools, then that's a really good place for us to start. And then the more schools, the more individual people get involved, the more people end up contributing to the whole city and fixing our urban heat island. And we can go like that. But I think that this one fixable issue is something that we as students can definitely dig our teeth into. It's something that we can definitely work towards fixing. And obviously, being that we're all here today, we've all recognized that. Give yourselves a hand right now because you have done that. You have already started. Now, I know we heard about a really incredible type of project that we're going to be seeing soon from Ballard. And, you know, we at Assumption, our roofs, we didn't have the opportunity to do something like that. So instead, we took to trees. And trees specifically, as I'm sure the people at Farnsley, whose project also centered around trees, know, is one of the easiest and quickest and best ways that we individually can help mitigate the urban heat island. Now, many of us know, obviously, if we've looked into the hashtag Cool502 program that we're trying to get involved here in the city of Louisville, is that we have one of the worst urban heat island problems in the country. But we can work towards fixing that, and especially at Assumption High School, which is centered on Bardstown Road, which is unfortunately one of the worst contributors to the urban heat island. It's our duty to work and try and improve our carbon footprint, and we're doing that first by planting the trees in strategic places. We have a lot of trees around the greenery, but not around the lots, which are absorbing this heat in a really negative way. Instead, the trees will absorb it in a positive way, and we estimate that this will change our microclimate by decreasing the temperature from 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, which is huge. Next, we're planning on a green wall along a vertical brick wall to perpetuate the urban breeze cycle. And for those of you guys who don't know the urban breeze cycle, like I didn't before I went to this Urban Youth Climate Summit earlier, it starts with hot air from human action that rises above a city. And from there, it spreads out and cools. Then it falls, cools a little bit more, and the cool air is drawn into the city by the decrease in air pressure. So when we have things like these green walls around these buildings, instead of having hot air that just keeps getting hotter and hotter, we're cooling it down along the process so that we can further improve this, not just with the trees, but also with the greenery. And finally, the last part of our project, because it's three-pronged, is to expand our green STEAM education. Now, I'm lucky enough to have an AP Environmental Science class that's taught by our school's green educator, Sally Craven. Can you guys give her a hand too? And she has been working diligently since the day she got to Assumption to make us a more green school. But especially this year, we can see it in programs like the STEAM Club that she's been working on, or like the AP Environmental Science class that we're in and everything that we've done. When we teach our freshmen and sophomores about being green early on, they take that with them. Just like the mayor was talking about earlier, if you learn this early in your life, you carry that on. And then we don't have to worry about other problems like the urban heat island later on. Instead, when we do something as simple as learning to compare vegetation for the cooling abilities, or learning about evapotranspiration, in the end, we can end up not just changing our climate, but also changing our future. And I challenge all of you guys here to work not just to be activists, but also to be scientists and engineers and people who will eventually do that changing, because you've all shown that you have the capabilities to do that. And because of that, I have a lot of faith in the city of Louisville.
All right, great job to Reagan, huh? So Reagan, come on back up here for a minute. So we're just gonna have a little teachable moment here. So, did y'all think that was a pretty good speech? Okay, all right, so you're a high school senior now. Tell us how you've become such a great professional speaker.
All right. Well, I start with having the microphone adjusted towards my face. And then I started my freshman year and I joined the Assumption High School speech and debate team. It wasn't actually the first thing that I wanted to do. I kind of had to be dragged in kicking and screaming. But once I got there, all of the coaches and all of the people in the environment had me practice day in and day out. I compete every weekend at public speaking competitions, and to brag on myself a little bit, I am an All-American. So, but I was, thank you. Thank you.
It's not bragging if it's true.
But yeah, I actually, my freshman year, was fortunate enough to compete alongside the mayor's daughter, Mary. She was on the team as well. So it's definitely a great environment that all of you guys, I know Ballard has a debate team, and this year they won regionals. So give them a hand. And so all of you guys who are in middle school, definitely, if you guys want to be good at talking, or talking competitively at least, give it a shot. It's a great activity, and it definitely makes you more eloquent when you have to do things like this.
Good job. All right, great job. Everybody wants to be a good speaker, but you don't know what to do sometimes. So when you guys are going into high school and you have that speech team opportunity, you're probably thinking, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Well, that's the way Reagan was, and my daughter was as well. But if you get in there and do it, you can be a great speaker like she is. So really try to focus on that, because being a good speaker is important in life. So Reagan, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate that. And thanks to Assumption for your all's wonderful job here. So now, why is all this possible? We're going to close with a lady representing the foundation that really helped put the $10,000 forward so you all could put your ideas into action. And that lady is none other than Isabella Christensen. She's from the Knollenberg Foundation, and she's going to share a few words with us. Isabella?
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here. A little scared to follow after Reagan, but I'll do my best. I'm here on behalf of Knollenberg Foundation and its director, Larry Raymond. And I'm here to thank you for your participation and also to congratulate you on your hard work, on your successful outcome, on your deep thinking about the science behind the UHI effect, and especially on your innovative thinking about what a local solution might look like on your campus. We're really excited to see what happens as these projects are implemented. There's going to be great learning, there's going to be excitement, and we're going to follow all of that. I want to thank also Brent Fryer and Partnership for Green City for assembling an amazing committee of people. It was such a pleasure to work with them, reading through your proposals and imagining what can come of them. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you for being involved, and we look forward to seeing what you're going to do with all of this.
Okay, well, again, we're so proud of our students for conceiving the ideas, starting to implement them, and it'll be really interesting to see how this works out over the next year or so. So please share your learnings with us and keep encouraging us older folks to do a better job that we can do every day, because we're confident that you guys will take us to the top. So thanks everybody so much for coming out here today, and again for Farnsley for hosting us. Thank you.
This has been a Metro TV production, a public service of Louisville Metro Government.